While classic shooter developer Treasure was most known for making the Gunstar Heroes and Sin and Punishment games, one of their most treasured works was Ikaruga. Considered a cult classic on the Dreamcast and GameCube, Ikaruga remixed Treasure's usual style as a shoot 'em up and garnered critical attention, even being considered by some to be one of Treasure's greatest games ever. Now, nearly 17 years later, Nicalis and Treasure have teamed up to bring this title to Nintendo Switch, but does it hold up as one of the best bullet hells of all time? Treasure has never been one for their comprehensible storylines. I still remember Sin and Punishment just throwing you into the middle of an alien-infested Tokyo with no context, and Ikaruga is the same. The game gives you an appendix with character artwork, and there are brief little sayings before each level, but as far as I have gathered from playing, you are a pilot called Shinra, who flies in the ship Ikaruga, and you are fighting some evil force and their giant crystal. To be fair, story really doesn't matter in this game, but if they want to have it, I would appreciate some way of discovering it in-game, rather than resorting to Wikipedia. It's not like this game comes with a manual or anything like it would have done 17 years ago. The gameplay of Ikaruga takes the usual shoot 'em up and adds a twist. You fly in a plane and fire lasers, but there are no power-ups, other than an area shot that will charge up over time. Instead, you swap between two energy polarities, white and black, which will allow your ship to absorb fire from other ships of the same energy type. Swapping is simple and adds another layer to the game, where players will have to keep dodging one colour and then swap to the other. It gives Treasure an excuse to scare players by flooding the stage with undodgeable bullets that don't necessarily kill you, as, like in many bullet hells, you die in one hit. Players travel through 5 levels, dodging hazards and fighting a boss at the end for a score. Each boss has to be beat within a certain time limit, although the game will still continue. You just get less points for failing. While the game can be beaten in around an hour, this does make sense considering it's an arcade game. The game's length and difficulty makes it feel like an old NES game. Much of the game's length will come from how ridiculously hard it is. It gets to the point where I found the level 4 boss just straight up unfair, thanks to the incredibly limited space and time you have to hit him. That is, of course, unless you cheese it. The game is all about getting a high score, and if you like that sort of thing, then enjoy playing on 3 lives and no continues. I did this for a bit, but then I decided I'd actually like to see past level 3, and maybe even beat level 4, and change the settings to have basically unlimited lives. I'm glad there is an option for this, but changing any setting causes you to not be able to save your score. I don't mind though, because saving your score just takes forever. You die frequently, and the amount of time it took to get from death to restarting a mission was just tiring. There are 2 additional modes with Prototype and Multiplayer. Multiplayer is just the same game with 2 ships, and is perfect for the Joy-Con. Prototype mode adds a cool layer of depth where you only have a limited amount of bullets, but can get more by absorbing enemy fire of the same polarity. This is a nice addition as it makes the game's challenge different enough to warrant playing through both modes. But I hope you get used to the first 2 chapters, as continues are turned off by default, and while there is a chapter select, you can only play that one chapter and that is it. No ending the session and coming back later unless you use the Switch's sleep mode, but then you can't play another game at all until you go back to this one. I'm sure the visuals were really impressive when Ikaruga first launched in 2001, but they're just average now. There is plenty of variety in the enemy designs, but the stages all look the same, although this might be necessary to contrast with all the bright white and black bullets covering your screen at all times. The menu and UI is nice, as is the music, but apart from the opening track and the boss theme, I don't remember much of it. One novel implementation is that you can play Ikaruga vertically, like how it was presented in arcades. This is neat, although the Switch isn't designed to be played like that, so you will need to find your own way of holding the Switch screen up, and this is only doable in tabletop mode, of course. When playing normally, the screen is not stretched, and so the black space is filled with a big grey background covered in kanji, as well as random gameplay information. Some of this is useful, like your lives, current combo and weapon charge, while other stuff is just a bit pointless, like which achievements you have. Overall, Ikaruga is an innovative shoot 'em up, and I can see why fans of this kind of game really enjoyed it. Personally, I still prefer Capcom's 1942 series and its various copycats. The ability to swap between polarities to survive is a neat gimmick, and it's used very well in the final boss, but the game is hard, almost to the point of being unfair. There is a reason this game is a cult classic. It certainly won't appeal to most, but for the masochists out there, as well as shoot 'em up fans, but is there really a difference? Let's be honest. This one's for you. At the very least, I am glad more people are getting to experience this title once more. Before I go today, I just want to thank Nicalis for sending us a copy of this game to review. I hope it does them well. As for everyone else, let me know if you liked this video and let me know your thoughts on Ikaruga. Is it something that you're considering picking up? Is it something that you played before back on the GameCube or Dreamcast? Let me know. And also a special thanks to all of our Patreons, in particular our super patron, the Duke of Dorks. The link to his channel is below and all the names of our patrons will be there on the left. So, if you like this video, like and subscribe, and always remember to return to the source.